What's up guys, Human Carjack here and welcome to the video. So today we're going to be installing a Mishimoto racing exhaust on the Forester. Now this is a pretty cool product and I'm happy to say that I recently became sponsored by Mishimoto. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be a part of the Mishi team. I'm looking forward to delivering more Mishimoto content on this channel. So here we have our package and I want to show you guys what we currently have underneath the hood. So this is an aftermarket intake by AEM. If you guys know who AEM is, they make a lot of different performance parts like intakes and things like that for lots of different brands. So this is kind of like half of the setup because that's the piping and it goes all the way down to the turbocharger. I did put like this, I guess this netting over it. This is also an AEM product. There it is. Yeah, it's like a covering. So just to make sure that like no water gets in or any other like bigger particles. So far it's served me pretty well. I mean, I like the performance. I definitely like the sound that it makes. The whole kit actually comes with one of these intake boxes. This is actually another Mishimoto one that I ordered accidentally, but we're gonna keep that there for now. So this is the AEM one that was on here, and it's supposed to go in like this. It kind of drops into position right over there. And this is kind of a failed attempt on my end to kind of be able to utilize the stock air scoop that connects right over here, and it would have went right into that air box right over here into this opening. I did a pretty terrible job with the Dremel that I have, and I left an opening right over here. And then halfway through I decided to just abandon the product and just get this. So AEM's design and their price point, really, like this one costs about $250. This one costs about $350. The thing with this one is that it's not a completely closed design, so when this is inserted here, the intake is still exposed, and you also don't have the scoop available to kind of transfer in cold air into the intake. So at the time when I was buying this, I was on a tight budget. I wasn't making that much money, so I decided to go with the cheaper option just for the sake of having an aftermarket intake and obviously doing a Pro Tune with it. But now with Mishimoto's design, it's going to be a much more efficient design. I'm definitely going to do another Pro Tune together with this part, and I'm also going to actually replace the charge pipe. Not in today's video, I'm going to do it in another video. It's like an aftermarket charge pipe that nobody has really heard of. The design is very similar to the Perrin charge pipe, but we'll get to that in another video. So we're going to go ahead and unbox the package right now and see what the contents are of it. Alright, so we've got the first piece. It's the piping itself. We got it in red. Alright, we got one in here, one in there, and we got this little protective covering for this mount over here. Then we have the coupler that's going to go down low in the engine bay near the turbo. Pretty cool. So this is the intake box. Alright, just like the one that I showed you guys before that's sitting over there. Very high quality. The metal finish is really nice and shiny. You got the Mishimoto logo that goes on top over here, so this basically covers it right on top this way, or I believe this way. So it covers it right on top. There's a couple of screws that secure it onto the airbox, and then this is the inlet. Whoop. This is the inlet for where the stock scoop goes into. We also have an extended wire here for the mass airflow sensor, right over there. Pretty cool. Worm gear clamps. We got a little promo pack over here with an air freshener with their logo on it. I think it's an air freshener. Looks like it. Some other stuff like booklets and brochures and things like that. The Mishimoto rewards program. And then we've got the air filter itself with a little worm gear clamp on top and the Mishimoto logo, or I guess the logo that's on top as well. And it seems to be a tiny bit bigger, I want to say, than the AEM one, but we're going to do a side-by-side comparison once we get the AEM one off. It also comes with a nice little instruction guide. It tells you how to properly clean it, so that's pretty cool. And last but not least, since we are sponsored by Mishimoto now, they sent us a little swag bag. Let's go ahead and see what's inside here. They have this little tab up top. We're just going to rip that, and it has one of these like resealable tops, kind of like a Ziploc bag. Open that up. Let's see what we got. So we have Mishimoto banner over here, right, in white. So probably going to throw that on the back of the car, probably in the on the rear window. Put that to the side. We also have, we got a couple of those stickers. We also have, let's see what else. We got a welcome letter. Welcome to Team Mishi. Greetings on behalf of everyone here at Mishimoto. Thank you for choosing Mishimoto. Yada yada yada. As always, we're here for you and we're looking forward to helping you with all your performance needs. Great. Thank you very much, Nikki. Can't pronounce that last name. Niatubix. So thank you so much, guys. We got a keychain or a lanyard That's pretty nice. Nice little Mishimoto lanyard. And I think that about covers it. I don't think there's anything else in here. Yeah, that about covers it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clear all this stuff out of the engine bay. We're going to start with jacking up the car because I do need to get underneath it in order to undo the AEM intake, and then we're going to go from there. This is the Perrin Air Oil Separator, and the way that it mounts, there's this bracket right over here, and it mounts to the one of like the mounting holes that the intake is supposed to go on. So the installer that I had to do it, because this was kind of like over my head, put it right over here and put this thing right over there. So it's fine for the AEM intake without the heat shield because there's a lot of clearance, but because this Mishimoto one is going to be like closed off over here, I might not have that much clearance like with some of these like tubings that are running in and out of it, because there's a whole bunch of like, you know, hoses and stuff. I'm pretty sure that the Mishimoto housing is going to be a little bit more pushed forward, like instead of it being on this hole that the AEM one is, it's going to be right here. So I also have to find out if I can mount this bracket to that hole. I probably can, but I might have to like rearrange this a little bit, so that might take a little bit of time. But I'm hoping that it doesn't take up too much time, that it'll be like a pretty smooth installation. But otherwise, for you guys who don't have air oil separators or anything else kind of like getting in the way of installing the intake, you should be just fine. Okay, so we got the car lifted up on the jack stands now, so I'm going to make my way from the bottom up. So I'm going to remove the skid plate, going to access the bottom of like some of the connections of the AEM intake, going to remove that, and then going to make our way up to the top over here and get rid of some of these brackets and all that hardware. So once we remove the skid plate underneath, we're going to work on taking off this tubing right over here. So we got this one worm gear clamp, it's a flathead. We're going to take that off, and then we're going to work our way up and remove whatever else we need to remove. So there was one nut right over there in that hole that was being held into place, or that was holding that screw right into place. Alright, so that's this right over here, just remove that. So this is basically, yeah, right there. It holds up the stock, I don't know what you want to call this, but this stock hosing or tubing. So we got that out of the way. That's currently hooked up to the AEM piping. All right, so we got that out of the way, and now I think, oh wait, yeah, we can move this a lot. So yeah, I think we can make our way up to the top now and start moving it from the top and just pull it out. So this bolt right over here, that's holding in the intake up top. We're just gonna use our drill. We're gonna remove it. All right, that's all it takes. So I just took it off of there. So I'm just gonna grab that hardware. Yeah, let's grab this so it doesn't fall. Just gonna unscrew that a little bit more. There we go. And I'm gonna take this washer off too. All right, so now the intake is basically dangling. All right, so we also have to remove the cable, right, for the mass airflow sensor. It's way down over there, right, because it's still hooked up to the intake. So we're gonna do that, and then I think we just pull this whole thing out. Unplug the mass airflow sensor. We're just gonna pull this out of here. Let's see if you have any clearance, actually. You know what? There's another worm gear clamp that we missed down low. So I'm gonna go underneath the car and remove that. It's gonna make it a little bit easier. So here we have our side-by-side comparison. I'm gonna try and level them out right over there. I think that's about the same height. So yeah, the Mishimoto one is definitely a little bit bigger. They both look really cool. I think, I want to say that the AEM, no, they're about like the same size, I guess, in like this way, I guess across like their diameter seems to be about the same. The AEM one might be a little bit bigger, but as far as height, the Mishimoto one definitely is a little bit taller. I don't know if this will produce a different sound, I doubt it, but we're gonna see. The only difference is that the Mishimoto one now, I do have a TurboXS blow-off valve, so you're probably not going to hear the intake, you're just going to hear the blow-off valve. So if anything, I'll just film from underneath the hood and we'll see how it sounds. Oh yeah, that came out so much easier, just had to take the intake off. So yeah, this is the piping of the AEM intake one, so pretty good. So we're just going to have to remove this mass airflow sensor and put it on the new pipings, which we're going to do right now. Alright, so we got the mass airflow sensor on the new piping, and I just wanted to do a little side-by-side comparison as far as like the color, the texture, and the diameter of the piping and everything. So AEM's is definitely a little bit smoother. This is like a crinkle or wrinkle red, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking at the designs too. One thing to note is that the AEM one, the screws that go on the mass airflow sensor are Phillips head, and these are actually what are they called? Allen keys. But they do have crush washers. It's pretty cool. So it's going to stay secured there. So I'm not worried about that. The design is a little bit different, I want to say. Like it's kind of strange. Like I get how the AEM one is set up. Like it goes right into, right to the top of the engine bay. This is where the intake would normally go. And then the bottom goes right into that bottom, like, the stock coupler, this thing right over here. Over here at the bottom on the Mishimoto one, I have to put this coupler on, so I know that. I got that figured out with like, the worm gear clamps and all that. So I basically just have to figure out like how this all works. One cool thing that I want to note is that the diameter of this pipe is not significantly bigger, but it's definitely bigger because you could fit like right over here. I could fit the Mishimoto one into the AEM one, like right there. So it's definitely a little bit bigger, definitely going to be getting a little bit more airflow, and especially because we have that closed box. So we're going to try and figure this out and put it all together. Alright, it's a new day and we have a couple tools here. We have our Sawzall, and we're going to use it on the intake housing just so that we can cut off a couple pieces here and some other pieces that are going to allow us like better fitment. So that we can get around the air oil separator. If you guys haven't seen my air oil separator installation video, go check that out. You see that where it's in the engine bay, it does get in the way of the airbox. So we have the clamp set up right over here just to hold it down, because we're gonna have to cut into this, and it's gonna be really wobbly with the Sawzall. So I got this piece of wood. We're gonna wedge it in between just like that, right, so that it doesn't shake too much, and then we're gonna cut right into it. So because the airbox didn't fit, after much cutting, we finally got it to go. And I'm actually really proud of this because it feels like a custom job. So check it out. We have the air oil separator right over there. We managed to cut the heat shield all the way around there, or the air intake box, whatever you want to call it. We used this screw that I had and put a couple of different washers, or whatever you want to call them, like nuts, on each side to hold that into place. Normally, this bracket is supposed to go way up over here, but because of clearance issues, because of the air oil separator, we couldn't do that. So we kind of made this little like custom setup to hold this end of the bracket, so this isn't going anywhere. Right, so that's pretty sturdy. We had to cut around the Perrin bracket over here. Now you see how like the paint chipped off a little bit, but I'm going to add a little bit of paint to the edge of this so that it doesn't rust. Got the intake filter itself sitting right over here. Clearance is pretty good. It might be touching the air oil separator just a little bit, but it's actually not too bad. It's touching over here too, but I want to see if it starts to rattle while I'm driving. If not, then I think we're good. And then we have the stock air scoop that we fitted right over here. Got it running over, and had to trim it a little bit right over here. I don't know if you guys could see that, but I had to trim it a little bit because it was actually making contact with the air filter. So the last thing to do would be take the airbox cover by Mishimoto and just fit it into here, right, into all the screw holes, right, because there's screw holes on the top over there, and right over here on this side. Right, so I basically just have to cut around, make it fit nicely, again avoiding all the connections of the air oil separator and these hoses, and then it'll be a job complete. Alright, so we have plenty of clearance now. We got the edges all trimmed up. I just have to take the Dremel to the side over here just to polish it all off and get rid of some of these bits that are like a little bit sharp. We had to drill another hole right over here because that hole was too far out now, because we did have to kind of compress the airbox a little bit, but now we just have to get the scoop on too, and then it'll be pretty much done. Got everything tightened up now. So as you can see, it's not the prettiest job. What I did was I painted the edges over here so that it doesn't rust, but we have really good clearance along the air oil separator. All the lines are not being like pressed up against the airbox. The scoop is fitting perfectly, so there's no issues there. Pretty much a modified custom setup just to work around the Perrin Air Oil Separator. Now I'm not sure if the Crawford air oil separator would work on the Forester, but normally that location would be right over here. I didn't know that. I never knew anything about like the location of the Perrin air oil separator and things like that. I never knew that I was going to be getting this intake either. But this is a nice little workaround. So this part of the engine bay definitely looks a little more cramped, like if you look at it like up here, definitely a little more cramped, but whatever. At this point it is functional, so I'm a big fan of it. So we're going to turn the car on real quick just to make sure everything is working properly, give you guys a couple rev clips so you could hear how the intake sounds. Now I also want to check for any rattles too, so while we're revving it, let's go ahead and look at the footage again, and we're going to see if anything is really shaking around or anything. So that does it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and put the car back down on the ground, get everything bolted right up, clean up all my tools over here that I made a mess of, and I'm going to go enjoy the car on this beautiful Monday. If you guys liked the video, please give me your feedback down below in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. Let me know what you think of the build so far, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, take care now. Peace.